Most men don't realize the comfort they cling to is actually a deeply unsettling truth keeping them blind. It's a quiet illusion built on the need to be right, to be validated, to be seen as the good guy. We're taught from a young age that the truth will set you free, that you must stand your ground and defend what you believe in. But what they never tell you is that your greatest strength, your most cherished beliefs, can be used as the very chains that bind you. Hidden deep within every decision, every argument you've ever had, is an unnamed fear. This isn't an evil nature or a flaw you need to fix. It's the unseen conductor, orchestrating your every attempt at control. It's the reason a simple disagreement with your partner turns into a week-long cold war. It's the knot in your stomach when a boss questions your work, the quickening of your pulse when a friend challenges your opinion. You feel the compulsion to justify, to explain, to prove you're not what they're insinuating. That's the feeling of your strings being pulled. Tonight, we expose the hidden corners of desire, underlying motives, and inner battles. If you've ever felt a profound unease, a gnawing sense that you're playing a game you don't understand, stay. This is for you. Like this video, subscribe if you're ready to unveil the illusions that control you. Take a slow breath. Let's go deeper. You're sitting across from him. Let's call him Marcus, a colleague, an old friend. It doesn't matter. The details are less important than the feeling. He's looking at you with a casual, almost indifferent smile. The air in the room is stale, the low hum of the fluorescent lights buzzing faintly overhead. He just said something that felt like a pinprick, a subtle accusation about your work, your character, something that wasn't a direct attack, but a sideways comment designed to make you flinch. You feel the heat rising in your chest. Your mind races, cycling through 1,000 possible defenses. You could counter his point with hard data, expose the flaw in his logic, or dismiss him with a cutting retort. Every fiber of your being screams, defend yourself. You lean forward, a rebuttal already forming on your lips. This is the moment most men fall into the trap. We're conditioned to see this as a test of strength, a chance to assert dominance. But what you're about to do, what you've done 100 times before, is hand him the very power you're trying to seize. You're about to prove that his words have a hold on you. You're about to show him exactly where to strike next time. The very act of defense is a silent admission that the accusation has merit, that it's worth your time, your energy, your emotional investment. The argument is no longer about the facts, it's about control, and in that moment, you have none. The flicker of the light catches his eye, and you see it, a ghost of a smirk, gone in an instant. He knows you're about to take the bait. The game is already over before you've even spoken. Think back to a time this happened. Maybe it was an argument with a former lover who accused you of being selfish, and you spent hours listing all the selfless things you'd done. Maybe it was a disagreement with a family member who said you were lazy, and you exhaustively detailed your work schedule. Every word you spoke in your defense, every piece of evidence you presented, was a brick you were laying to build their prison for you. You were proving you were guilty until proven innocent, and your only hope was to be judged favorably by them. It's a game you can't win because the rules are rigged. Your heartbeat is a soft drum in your ears. You're not fighting against an external enemy. You're fighting against the part of yourself that needs their approval. This inner conflict, this desperate need to be seen as good, as right, as a man of integrity, is the true enemy. It's a deep-seated fear that without validation, you are nothing. The silence in the room stretches, and for a fleeting second, you have a choice. You can speak and condemn yourself to the cycle, or you can choose another path, a path most men are too afraid to even consider. This path isn't about winning or losing. It's about not playing the game at all. It's about understanding that the person who has the most power is the one who doesn't have to prove it. The one who can sit in the silence and allow the words to hang in the air, a testament to the accuser's own insecurities, not yours. Machiavelli understood this. He knew that power isn't taken, it's granted by others. But he also knew a darker truth, that true power is so absolute it doesn't need to be defended. A king doesn't justify his crown to a peasant. A predator doesn't explain its hunt to its prey. But that's only the surface. The real danger hides deeper. Word count 980. We have to talk about the silence, that heavy, pregnant pause after the accusation has been made but before your defense can escape. Most men see this as a vacuum, a space they must fill immediately. But the most powerful thing you can do is to just let it hang there. The longer you hold that silence, the more your accuser's own words begin to echo in the room, taking on a life of their own. They become the ones who have to justify their statement, to defend their own premise. The tension you feel isn't just yours. It's a shared space, and the person who breaks it first is the one who loses control. Think back to Marcus. You're sitting across from him, and he just threw out that little jab. You feel that familiar urge to respond, that knot in your gut telling you to fight. But this time, you do nothing. You simply look at him, a calm, unwavering gaze. You don't nod. You don't sigh. You don't even blink. You let his words, his little attack, just sit there between you. The air thickens. He might shift in his seat. He might clear his throat. He might even rephrase his statement, trying to soften the blow he just delivered. He's now fighting with himself, with the weight of his own words. You've just used his aggression as a psychological judo flip. This isn't about being aloof or arrogant. It's about a deep, quiet confidence that your value isn't up for debate. You aren't playing a game of he said, she said. The one who reacts is a puppet. The one who observes is the puppet master. He can see the strings and refuses to grab them, because he knows it's a trap. The real danger here isn't what he says, it's what you believe about yourself. Every time you defend your integrity, your worth, your intelligence, you are reinforcing a deeply unsettling belief. That these things are fragile, that they can be taken from you by a mere comment. The moment you refuse to engage, you are sending a far more potent message, not just to him, but to your own subconscious. You are telling yourself that your identity is not negotiable, that it exists independently of anyone's opinion. The flicker in the corner of your eye is a shadow on the wall, the shadow of the man you are letting go of, the one who needed to be right. But the story doesn't end there, because this trick works even better when it's against you. Word count 502. This isn't just a trick for arguments, it's a trick for life. The seduction of control, the desperate need to win, is a subtle cage that extends far beyond the boardroom or the living room. Think about your desires, the things you chase the hardest: money, status, a particular kind of woman. Most men believe they are in control of this pursuit. They think they are the hunter, but what if the chase itself is the real cage? What if your greatest desires are actually the master, and you are the one being hunted, lured in by the promise of freedom? The desire you fight hardest, the one that keeps you up at night, is the one that owns you. When you constantly think about your ex-girlfriend, replaying every argument, every moment, you aren't trying to win her back. You are allowing her to live in your mind, rent-free. You are still fighting the battle, still defending yourself in a war that ended months ago. When you obsess over proving your worth to a boss who never acknowledges your efforts, you are not chasing success. You are chasing their approval, a ghost that can never be caught. This is the deeper layer of Machiavellian wisdom. Power isn't just about dominating others, it's about liberating yourself from the things that dominate you. Every time you feel that pull, that desperate need to prove your worth, you are revealing a weakness, a button that can be pushed. The mirror reflects a man who is not truly free, but a man who is a slave to his own need for validation. The flickering lights, the hushed whispers of your own self-doubt, they all point to the same truth. You are a puppet, but the strings are attached to your own heart. But there's a way to cut those strings, and it involves a betrayal of everything you thought you knew about justice. Word count, 497. Every accusation is a mirror. It doesn't show you who you are, but who the accuser believes you to be, or, more dangerously, who they need you to be for their own comfort. When Marcus made that comment about your work, he wasn't just talking about you. He was revealing something about himself. Maybe he's insecure about his own projects. Maybe he needs to feel superior to get through the day. His words are not a reflection of your truth, but a projection of his own shadow. This is the forbidden realization. The fiercest arguments you have aren't with other people, but with their shadows. You are fighting a ghost, an idea, a phantom version of yourself that only exists in their mind. And the moment you defend yourself, you give that phantom reality. You lend your energy to an illusion. Most men don't see this. They get so caught up in the details, the facts, the evidence, the right and wrong of it all, that they never stop to ask the most important question: why is this person trying to make me play this game? The locked door isn't a barrier to your truth, it's a barrier to their fantasy of who you are. Think about a time someone accused you of being selfish. You probably immediately started listing all the things you'd done for others. But what if you had just sat in silence and observed? You would have seen that their accusation wasn't about your actions, but about their feelings. They felt neglected, and instead of taking responsibility for their own feelings, they tried to pin them on you. They tried to make you the villain so they could be the victim. Your defense, however well-intentioned, only reinforced their narrative. It made you the defendant and them the judge. The moment you refuse to play that role, the entire drama collapses. The real power move is not to win the argument, but to see the game and refuse to play. This requires a level of inner stillness that most men have never accessed. It's an unnerving calm that says, I see what you're trying to do, and I will not participate. But there's a final, more chilling layer to this. The moment you realize that sometimes they aren't even aware they're playing the game. Word count, 504. Let's get to the core of why this works. The reason you defend yourself so fiercely isn't about the facts. It's about a hidden shame they've accidentally exposed. Every man has an inner conflict, a dark part of himself he has spent a lifetime trying to hide, even from himself. Maybe it's a moment of weakness from your past, a time you acted selfishly, or a deep-seated fear of inadequacy. This is your shadow. And when someone attacks you, their words often feel like they're aimed not at the man you are today, but at the part of you that you're most afraid of being. This is the psychological trigger. The accusation isn't a random jab. It's a key that unlocks a locked door you thought you had sealed forever. When they call you lazy, you don't just hear the word lazy, you hear the echo of your father's disappointment. The memory of that one project you never finished. When they call you selfish, you don't just hear selfish, you hear the quiet voice of a past lover you failed. Your defense is not a logical argument, it's an emotional reaction. You're not fighting their words, you're fighting the fear that they've seen the real, ugly truth inside you. The mirror on the wall isn't reflecting their accusation, it's showing you the part of yourself that flinched, the part that believes, on some subconscious level, that the accusation is true. The most dangerous game isn't the one they're playing with you, but the one you're playing with yourself. You are the one who is ashamed, you are the one who feels a need to hide that part of your history, and this shame is what gives them power. The moment you expose that shame through your fervent defense, you are handing them a weapon. You're showing them exactly where your armor is thin, where they can cut deepest next time. The pursuit of justice, of being seen as right, is a masterful illusion. It feels like you're fighting for honor, but in reality, you're just bleeding out, revealing all your hidden weaknesses. But what if you could turn that shame into your greatest strength? It's a darker path than you might expect, and it begins with a choice that feels entirely wrong. Word count 504. What you're really fighting is not the accusation itself, but the fear of being seen as the person they are painting you to be. It's a battle against a carefully constructed image, a caricature drawn with their words and your insecurity. Think of it like this: they've drawn a crude picture of you as a villain, and your desperate defense is you trying to take the pencil and redraw it into a hero. But in doing so, you're still playing with their pencil, on their paper, within the lines they've already set. This is the puppet master's trick, and most men fall for it every single time. The most powerful form of manipulation is not control, but the illusion of it. They make you think you're in control of the situation by giving you the stage to defend yourself. Here, they seem to say, "Prove me wrong." And like an actor playing a part, you jump onto the stage, forgetting that they wrote the script. They know that your own pride, your own need to be seen as a good man, will compel you to play the role they've created for you. Let's go back to that room with Marcus. You've just refused to defend yourself. You've let the accusation hang in the air. Now notice his next move. He might get defensive. He might try to escalate, to poke and prod you with more direct attacks. He might even try to fill the silence himself, rambling on to justify his initial point. Why? Because you have taken away his power. He was counting on your reaction. He was counting on you to grab the pencil, and you refused. The silence is now his enemy, a mirror that reflects his own baseless words and forced him to deal with the ugliness of his own projection. This dark realization is a moment of profound clarity. You suddenly see that the entire interaction was a test, a meticulously crafted trap designed to gauge your emotional state and your level of self-control. The accusation wasn't the point, your reaction was. The forbidden flame you're playing with here isn't about being cruel or indifferent. It's about being so self-possessed that you can't be played. But once you see this, you can't unsee it, and that brings you to an even more unsettling truth about the people around you. Word count 504. So, you've refused to defend yourself. The silence hangs in the air, and you feel that uneasy acceptance. It's a quiet dread, a small, unsettling whisper in the back of your mind that says, "What if they're right?" This is the final layer of the trap. They've made their accusation, you've refused to engage, and now you are left alone with your own thoughts, your own doubts. This isn't a battle against them anymore, it's a battle against your own inner critic. This quiet, unsettling acceptance is the moment you see the entire game for what it is. You see that their words were never about you. they were a projection of their own fears and insecurities. You see that your own need to defend yourself was never about justice. It was about your own hidden shame, and now, in the silence, you're forced to confront both of these truths. The mirror you are looking into is no longer just reflecting their words, but the deep, murky waters of your own subconscious. It's an uncomfortable, but necessary moment of clarity. Think of it like this: a child throws a tantrum to get what they want. When you give in, you validate their behavior. But when you simply sit there, calm and unmoving, the child eventually has to face the reality that their tantrum has no power. They might scream louder, they might try new tactics, but eventually they will tire out and be forced to confront their own feelings. The same is true for the adult mind. When you refuse to engage, you force them to sit with the weight of their own words. You force them to confront the fact that their attempt at manipulation has failed. This is the psychological judo flip in action. By absorbing their attack without reacting, you use their own momentum against them. They expected a fight, and you gave them a vacuum. They expected you to flinch, and you gave them stillness. The result is a profound power shift. You didn't win the argument, you transcended it. You didn't prove your worth, you showed that your worth is not up for negotiation. But the real magic happens when you move beyond mere silence to a subtle, almost invisible counter move that they will never see coming. Word count 504. We are now entering the art of the judo flip. You've held the silence, you've endured the uncomfortable pause. Your accuser, Marcus, has stumbled, perhaps trying to fill the void with more clumsy words, or maybe even getting agitated at your lack of reaction. But the game isn't just about passive resistance. True mastery is about using their own energy against them, not with words, but with a subtle, psychological maneuver. This is how you negotiate with the shadow, by turning their sword into a mirror. The moment they make an accusation, you don't defend. You don't even disagree. Instead, you use a technique that Machiavelli would have admired. You make them the one on trial. You could simply say, calmly, with a gentle, curious tone, "That's an interesting perspective. Why do you see it that way?" Or, more pointedly, "You sound very certain about that. What makes you so sure? Notice what you've done." You haven't validated their premise, you haven't denied it, you've simply pushed the responsibility of the statement back onto them. You've made them own their accusation. Now, they are the one who has to explain their reasoning, to justify their feelings, to defend their own point of view. The frame has flipped. The spotlight is no longer on you and your supposed flaws. It's on them and their motivations. The room becomes a stage for their performance, not yours. This is the art of the judo flip. You're not fighting their physical attack. You're using their emotional force to make them fall on their own blade. The more they push, the more they will reveal about their own insecurities, their own prejudices, and their own need for control. They will expose their hand, while you remain calm, watching from the sidelines. You are no longer the one being judged, you are the one observing the judge. The symbol here is the locked door, the door you refuse to open, forcing them to stand alone in the hallway, yelling at a wall. You have shown them that your strength isn't in your fists or your words, but in your ability to make them fight themselves. But this isn't about winning a single battle. It's a quiet moment of liberation, a realization that the war was always with you. Word count 504. This is the quiet moment of liberation. It's the realization that you don't need their validation or agreement. For so long, you believed your power came from being right, from winning the argument, from having the last word. You were fighting for a prize that never existed. Your power was always within you, not something that could be granted or taken away by another person's opinion. Think of the emotional spiral you've just escaped. From the initial hidden tension of the accusation, to the forbidden curiosity about their motive, to the first crack of your control as you considered a defense, to the shame that was uncovered and the desire that manipulated your choices. You went through a dark realization, an uneasy acceptance, and finally, a negotiation with your own shadow. This entire journey was a descent into a deeper truth about yourself. You weren't just learning a trick, you were learning about the parts of your own psyche that are vulnerable to manipulation. The final truth, the one that sets you free, is that your identity is not negotiable. Your worth isn't up for debate. The man you are is not a collection of arguments you've won or defenses you've successfully mounted. It's a quiet, unshakable core that exists independently of external validation. The moment you stop defending yourself, you are making a profound statement not just to them, but to yourself. I am who I am, and I do not need your permission to be it. This isn't about becoming a cold, emotionless automaton. It's about becoming a man who is so secure in himself that he can hear an accusation without his entire world shaking. It's about becoming a man who can witness the manipulation of others without feeling the need to step into their trap. The forbidden flame isn't about setting others on fire. It's about lighting your own, so bright that their shadows can't touch you. But this liberation is just the beginning. It leads to a dark wisdom that changes the way you see every person, every interaction, for the rest of your life. Word count 501. This is the final descent, the dark wisdom of the indifferent master. The truly powerful man is not the one who defends his honor, but the one who has none to defend because his value is not up for debate. You have to understand this on a cellular level. It's a quiet, cold, and unsettling truth that will change how you interact with every person for the rest of your life. You are no longer playing a game of good versus evil, right versus wrong. You are playing a game of power and influence. Tonight, when you face your reflection in the mirror, you'll see the man who used to believe he needed to be right. You'll see the man who flinched when an accusation was made, the man who was a slave to his own insecurities and his need for external validation. But then, you'll also see the part of you they told you to kill, the part that is calm, indifferent, and above the fray, the part that never left. It's the part of you that knows that the most dangerous man is not the one who is the strongest, but the one who can't be goaded into a fight. The quiet, soft descent is a moment of profound internal shift. You are no longer trying to control others. You are no longer trying to prove your worth. You are simply observing. You are watching the world unfold, seeing the little power games people play, the subtle manipulations, the desperate attempts to gain control, and you simply refuse to participate. The shadow you once ran from is now your ally. It is a part of your power. It is the part of you that is no longer afraid to be seen as wrong, because you know that a person's opinion is just that, an opinion. The world outside will not change. People will continue to accuse, to manipulate, and to try to force you into their games. But you will have changed. You will have a newfound quiet confidence, a power that they will feel but can never understand. You have learned that the ultimate freedom is not the ability to do what you want, but the freedom from needing anything from them at all. End of script. Word count 501. We have reached the end of the script, but this isn't the end of the journey. What you've learned here isn't just a psychological trick. It's a new lens through which to view the world. Tonight, when you face your reflection in the mirror, you'll see the man who used to believe he needed to be right. You'll see the man who flinched when an accusation was made, the man who was a slave to his own insecurities and his need for external validation. But then you'll also see the part of you they told you to kill, the part that is calm, indifferent, and above the fray, the part that never left. It's the part of you that knows that the most dangerous man is not the one who is the strongest, but the one who can't be goaded into a fight. The quiet, soft descent is a moment of profound internal shift. You are no longer trying to control others. You are no longer trying to prove your worth. You are simply observing. You are watching the world unfold, seeing the little power games people play, the subtle manipulations, the desperate attempts to gain control, and you simply refuse to participate. The shadow you once ran from is now your ally. It is a part of your power. It is the part of you that is no longer afraid to be seen as wrong, because you know that a person's opinion is just that, an opinion. The world outside will not change. People will continue to accuse, to manipulate, and to try to force you into their games. But you will have changed. You will have a newfound quiet confidence, a power that they will feel but can never understand. You have learned that the ultimate freedom is not the ability to do what you want, but the freedom from needing anything from them at all. If this video has opened your eyes to the silent wars happening all around you, if it has given you a taste of this dark wisdom, I want you to do two things. First, share this with one man who you believe is ready for this truth. The world is full of men playing the victim. Help one of them find their power. Second, I want you to pay attention. The next time you feel that hot surge of anger, that desperate need to defend yourself, pause just for a second. See if you can hold the silence. See if you can use their own words against them. Then come back and tell me what happened in the comments below. Let's build a brotherhood of men who are truly free. End of script.